YouTube, how's it going? The GOAT House is back. Today, we're ranking players. We're into week 11 of the 2021 NFL season. So a little bit over halfway through the year, and we're ranking players based off their play so far. I've watched a ton of football this year, so this is based off what I've seen. And of course, production matters. That kind of confirms what you see on the field, so we put those together. We got top 5 players here at every major position. So only 5 at each position. So these are the great players. There's a lot of good players still left out. But we'll do this again at the end of the season based on the entire season as a whole. So we got you covered here. We got similar videos always coming out. We have in-season content like weekly picks, power rankings, and a lot more. We got you covered in the offseason with free agency and the NFL draft. So join us. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. Follow our Twitter. A lot of updates there. And yeah, a lot of keeping you guys updated. We update this here. There's a lot of injury news today. Chris Carson, Khalil Mack. Saints are without a bunch of guys. We got you covered here on Twitter here. But to the quarterbacks. So we actually ranked the quarterbacks just over a week ago. We ranked top 32. So things changed after this past week, shifted around a little bit. Dak boosted himself back up after a good performance against the Falcons. Matthew Stafford kind of fell a little bit because he's off back-to-back performances where he struggled, but you put the entire season together, he's played very well. So we got Stafford at 5, Rodgers at 4. Rodgers hasn't really needed to do a whole lot, but he's just consistent and very accurate with the ball, making big plays when he needs to. Dak Prescott at 3. Kyler Murray starting to miss some games here. He's gonna, it's hard to knock him down from 2 from what he's done because he's been arguably the most valuable player, but starting to miss some games, and that's a little tough to rank because that did factor into my rankings. Like first I look at how they play, what I've seen with my own eyes, and then their production. But then if they're not there every game, to me, we're only basing this off of 10 weeks. In some cases it's only 9 games so far. So if you're missing games, it'll hurt you a little bit, but it shows how good Kyler Murray's been. So because I still have him at 2. Tom Brady's at 1. He's actually struggled a little bit the last couple games. Some, strange, fluky turnovers here and there, but he does need to play better, but playing, insane before that. So we're putting all the full 10 weeks that we've seen together. So those are my top 5 quarterbacks at this point. Always love to see at the end of the year how they change. Here you see starts to see guys sliding a little bit, some guys climbing. Let's go to the running backs. I do have Derrick Henry at 1. He is now out for the rest of the regular season. He'll be back. Expected to be back for the playoffs, at least sometime during the playoffs. But again, we're basing this off of what we've seen so far through 10 weeks. And Derrick Henry has been the best back in football. But there's a close one here with a division rival from the Colts and Jonathan Taylor, who is, we expect when we do these rankings at the end of the year, Derrick Henry probably won't be. He won't be in there because how many games he's missed. It's unfortunate. But Jonathan Taylor is kind of leading that pack to be the number 1 ranked guy at the end of the year. He's having a phenomenal year. So he's at 2. Really, really stepping up this year. Taking care of the ball as well because that was kind of a negative coming out of Wisconsin was he pretty loose with the ball, a lot of fumbles. So he's doing a good job there improving. So, he's been fantastic. Seeing the hole, hitting the hole, flying after the hole, and you see the power he has as well. I got Zeke at 3. Zeke's really impressive. Last year people would just say, it was just the fumbles. That's the only thing that was wrong. I didn't really think so. I thought there was more. I thought he was, he didn't seem right. I don't know. He didn't seem right. Didn't seem like he was seeing and hitting the hole like he normally does. This year, a little better shape, and maybe that played a part, not fumbling as much, so nearly as much. So that plays a part as well, but he's, hitting the hole very well. You see the quickness, ability to make people miss, with his lateral movement. It's kind of back, So I got Zeke at 3. I got Cordero Patterson at 4. Doesn't have the rushing yards that these other guys have, but there's not a lot of guys that are tearing it up in terms of, rushing production. But Patterson's been effective running the ball, but he's been catching the ball out of the backfield and downfield at a very, very high level. So he's considered a running back. Even though he's kind of a hybrid player, but I got to rank him in top 5. It's pretty crazy to think, we wouldn't have predicted we had Cordero Patterson ranked up here in the top 5 at this point. We actually watched the Falcons get their ass beat on Thursday Night Football without Patterson. It really looked like they missed him there. Nick Chubb at 5. This is a tough one because Nick Chubb would probably be, it's hard to say he'd be ahead of Derrick Henry, but he'd probably be 2 around that range, if it's kind of an assumption if he played every game. But since he's kind of missed and he still has ridiculous yards, but since he's missed multiple games here, that hurts him a little bit. In my opinion, we're basing this off 10 weeks. I need you there as much as possible. But it's still, he's in the top 5. It shows how productive, how good he is. So he comes in at 5. On to the receivers, a battle at the top. I'm going to put Cooper Kupp. It's hard not to go Cooper Kupp at 1, but it's kind of the same thing with Deebo Samuel. It's really hard because Deebo Samuel feels like a number 1 receiver based on what he's done. He's just beat up the Rams. Last time we've seen the two teams play, he's carrying that group. Kittle's back in the mix, but Deebo's been carrying that group in general. Receivers, just targets in general. Do-it-all type guy. Give him the ball behind the line of scrimmage, on the line of scrimmage, downfield. Ridiculous. Just a do-it-all type guy. So Deebo Samuel feels like a number 1 guy right now. Cooper Kupp is just gone off. The numbers are wild, but you watch, how do you consistently let this guy get open? He's just so good with his footwork, and I think it's more so just understanding coverages and knowing where to go and the timing of them. Just so smart, and he's he's an athlete as well on top of it. But yeah, unreal numbers for Cooper Kupp this year. So I got to put him at 1. Deebo Samuel, it's kind of 1A, 1B for me right there. Because Samuel, what he's doing is ridiculous, doing everything for the 49ers. Devontae Adams at 3. He'd probably be in that 1 conversation if he didn't miss that 1 game as well. I got Michael Pittman at 4. I've loved watching Michael Pittman this year. Big body receiver that has got a lot of jump balls, a lot of contested jump balls in crucial situations. And then you kind of think, maybe that's his game because he's a big body guy, but he does so much more, underneath, along the sideline underneath. Very good after the catch, tough to bring down. So I've been very impressed with his play this year. I think he's really helped the Colts, really bailed them out at times in some of these crucial passing situations. I got Tyreek Hill at 5. Getting doubled a ton. I always call him, maybe the most feared non-quarterback in football because he's doubled up a ton. There was a few games earlier in the year where he dropped the ball a little more than you would like, but where's production's at, what he's able to do while getting doubled most weeks. For some reason, last week we saw the Raiders didn't really double him. But it's pretty damn impressive. So he still makes the top 5 here. He's at 5. We are on to the tight ends. I love the way Mark Andrews is playing. Travis Kelce's got all that production. It's crazy because Kelce kind of started a little slow, had a drop or 2 here and there that we're not used to, fumble, we're not used to it, but still is great, still has that production. I just like what Mark Andrews has been doing. It feels like he's getting better. He's had some bad drops in the past on top of his good play, but cleaning that up, just coming up in crucial situations, just finding open zones, in zone coverage there, just very smart tight end, but a receiver, as well. Just been so clutch for the Ravens, and again, a lot of relying on him because the receivers they're picking it up a little bit. Guys like Hollywood Brown, now they got Bateman in there going, but it's still been a little underwhelming in general, to rely on a guy, a receiver, a target in those big-time situations. I think Andrews has been fantastic. Kelsey's definitely too. Hunter Henry's been dominant in the red zone, touchdown machine. There's not a lot of production from tight ends this year, so Henry being productive in the red zone, getting the touchdowns definitely helps. Mike Gesicki, I would like for the Dolphins to get him going in the red zone more because he's that type of guy. He's that type of target, but just full of spectacular catches, across the field, in traffic, has the production to go along. Kyle Pitts at 5, who's kind of a tight end receiver hybrid here. But he's been very productive. Another one, get him going. Why aren't the Dolphins getting Gesicki going more in the red zone, more jump balls, more fades, and the same thing with the Falcons and Pitts, so it's a matter of, I think, their team drawing a little bit more up for them maybe to get to that number 1 spot. So, I haven't been super impressed with a long list of tight ends this year, but these ones very solid. Let's take a look at the tackles, top 5 tackles. I got the Colts right tackle, Braden Smith, who got paid in this offseason at number 5. Very consistent. Remember, he was a guard, or so a lot of people thought he was going to be a guard, and ends up being a top-tier tackle here. Another right tackle, Tristan Wirf's been fantastic for the Buccaneers. Saw kind of the last piece of the puzzle last year, and you can make a highlight tape what he's been doing this year. Ryan Ramczyk at 3. And few guys here that have been extremely consistent. Tyron Smith, need to see him on the field. Hopefully he gets, stays healthy, see him come off the field and kind of watch from the sideline sometimes. But, he's been absolutely dominant. Pass blocking, run blocking. Trent Williams, Tyron Smith kind of in the same boat. Hopefully we see them, staying on the field, getting back on the field because they missed a little bit this year. But we know what we're going to get when they're on the field. It's absolutely dominant. See the 49ers with and without Trent Williams, but just absolutely dominant out there. So those are my top 5 tackles. Combine the interior offensive linemen. Centers and guards, of course, sometimes interchangeable for some players, some teams. A center at number 5. Number 1 center is actually a rookie, Creed Humphrey, a lefty center, which is kind of actually rare in, believe it or not, in NFL history. Very rare. So maybe you question that. Can a lefty center do it? You would think, why not? But he's been fantastic. He's been fantastic for the Chiefs there. So the rookie comes in at 5, top graded center by me. Ali Marpet at 4. A lot of these guys, we come to expect them up here, but we see the Browns getting 2 guys on the list. Both guys extended somewhat recently, and Zach Martin coming at 2, but Joel Bitonio at 1 for me. Very effective in. We know these guys are dominant run blockers, and they all can pass protect. But to me, Bitonio has been very consistent in terms of pass protection from that guard spot, and this interior guys are taking over the league, from the defensive side. So, yeah, he's my number 1 here. Going to defense, speaking of the interior defensive lineman, Jeffrey Simmons has been insane this year. Stops the run on the inside high level, been getting after the quarterback like crazy. We're always wowed by Aaron Donald because he's got sack numbers like the edge rushers. Well, now we got Jeffrey Simmons who's got sack numbers like the edge rushers and better numbers than Aaron Donald right now. So, Simmons has been insane. Remember, that was an elite prospect for Mississippi State. He only dropped because of an injury. He's healthy right now, looking good. Aaron Donald, of course, going to come out at number 2. It's weird not seeing him at 1. He's playing like a number 1. Just Jeffrey Simmons has been ridiculous. Cam Hayward also playing like a number 1, constantly making an impact. Disruptor, obviously. You'll see him come away with a crazy interception was that Monday night a couple weeks ago there. So he's been an absolute disruptor. Vita Vea, got to give some love to the nose tackles. Maybe the most dominant run stuffer in all of football. I see why the Bucs have the best run stopping defense. Not much getting by him. I think he's been doing a good job of getting pressures. That's why it's tricky going off of people. Everybody has different pressure, how many pressures each guy's got, and I don't know if those numbers really show what Vita Vea has done, because he's kind of getting pressure by using the center or the guard, whoever he's over. Both, mixes it up sometimes by driving him straight back into the quarterback. But he's been extremely impressive. Possibly the best pure run stuffer in all of football. Jonathan Allen carrying that Watch Football defensive line this year, which has been a little underwhelming. But Allen has not. He's been fantastic, equally effective, getting after the quarterback, stopping and run, making plays. But you see him, he's kind of, he can play. He can make a play on the inside, and he can, go outside the guard and make a play. So pretty damn impressive. There's a lot of really good interior defensive lines. So there's a lot of good guys that we aren't even talking about in this list. Javon Hargrave's been impressive. Another Titan, Danico Autry, super impressive. Leonard Williams has been great. So there's a long list of guys here. Edge rushers, it's a tight battle for 1. I think the top 4 guys are probably competing for that 1 spot. Nick Bosa comes in at 5, not too far behind him. I thought it was a pretty clear 5. I actually thought there's some other guys balling out, but I thought these are the 5 best edge rushers so far. TJ Watt's crazy because per snap impact, you probably put TJ Watt at 1. Per snap, the impact he makes by snap. If I got one play, I might be going with TJ Watt out there, picking him first as my edge rusher. He's just got significantly less snaps as these other guys, and I gotta it's impressive what he's been able to do given those snaps. But we're basing this off of 10 weeks of play. And the guys that are always out there, that have just as good production and play, you got to give a little more love to. Harold Landry has been fantastic for the Titans. You see they start to build around him a bit more, and he's improving. He gets going. He's getting those sacks. He's getting the pressures. It's kind of all coming together there for him. He drops in coverage sometimes as well. Matthew Judon, kind of the same deal, but he's been a force, getting pressure constantly. Now that he's, going from the Ravens drop their edge rushers in coverage, the Patriots will as well, but the Patriots are letting him kind of do his thing a little more, get after the quarterback, and you see how dominant and how effective he is. He's up for Defensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett's been ridiculous, though. doubled a lot and beating the double teams a lot, pushing guys straight back, making plays in the run game as well. Guy has the production getting after the quarterback, just a big problem for offensive lines, so no matter who's out there. We've seen guys, we're getting raving about this tackle, that tackle, and then they go play Myles Garrett, and then we're not raving about him anymore because he made him look silly. So got to have Myles Garrett at 1, but the top 4, I think they're all, I feel like, number ones. If TJ Watt had, because I gotta have it play a part here. I need to see out there a little more. But if he played the snaps that Myles Garrett, Matthew Judon, or Landry have, we might be talking about TJ Watt 1, because again, the impact per snap is something I'm making up right now. But I don't know if anybody says that ever. But it just feels like TJ Watt might be it's tough to argue against Myles Garrett though. But these guys are so good, some of the best players in football. And it's been fun to watch some of these guys like Matthew Judon, seeing a different system, and Harold Landry, up and comer here. Linebackers are tough because a lot of good ones that didn't make this list, because there's a lot of good ones this year. I got Devondre Campbell at 1 of the Packers. I knew I was talking about it all offseason. I'm like, that's a better signing than what his name is. I was hyping up that was a big signing for the Packers, but I did not think he's going to be this good. He's been fantastic. You see the Packers defense taking that next step, and they just had such a problem at the inside linebacker position for several years, and you get a solid guy in there that kind of fits this new scheme, a new system, and he's been fantastic flying around the field in coverage and stopping the run as well. We've seen him; they kind of used him at times, kind of like a spy on Kyler Murray. He's used in situations like that, and a lot more athletic than given credit for. So I'm very much impressed with Devondre Campbell. Demario Davis at 2. Do-it-all guy for the Saints. I think he carries that group a little bit. See the Saints year in and year out, top of the league and stopping a run. Demario Davis a big part of that, but making those plays in the backfield. I mean, the tackles for loss he's driving up is very impressive, but equally as good in coverage, and you see him in the blitzing game. It's crazy. I think I said this last year too. The Saints want to blitz this guy even more. They want to blitz him more, but why teams are hesitant to blitz, you kind of take a guy out of the play. So what if a play's going somewhere else, or they know the blitz is coming? They would like to blitz him more because he's so effective, but he's just they need him, and they need him everywhere at once. So you don't want to take him out of the play too much. So been very impressive. Micah Parsons, who is he an edge rusher? Is he a linebacker? He's both. He's played inside. He's linebacker, outside linebacker, edge rusher too. Hand the dirt, standing up. So I put him with the linebackers. But he's played, pretty much everything there equally. You could probably, you can definitely debate he should be with the edge rushers. I can't really argue with you, whatever you think here. But Parsons has been fantastic. I mean, for a rookie, obviously the best defensive player in the draft. I mean, ridiculous. You see the range on him. You see him getting in the backfield, making big-time plays. You see him getting after the quarterback, whether it's rushing the passer off the edge or if it's a blitz. It's been absolutely ridiculous. Darius Leonard at 4, forcing fumbles like crazy out here this year. And I always talk about, I love that he's getting that ball out, or he's trying to get the ball out, but he's still making the tackles. I think there's been a lot of guys that, sometimes they have success punching the ball out, but the times they don't, they're just giving up so many extra yards. And that's what I love about Darius Leonard, that he's not giving up those extra yards. He's making the tackles, and he's getting the ball out. So I've been very impressed with that. All-around linebacker, obviously. Same with Eric Kendricks, all-around guy. Very good. We know how good he is in coverage, stopping the run, equally effective. I've been blitzing him a little more too. The Vikings blitzing using him. It's usually some of the other linebackers they use, but they're getting Kendricks going a little more into blitz. It's been pretty effective. So he's been doing really good. Shaq Thompson from the Panthers, really love his game. He's so important to the Panthers. He's a little down on the snaps compared to these guys. So since everyone was so tight, that was kind of what split him up. Roquan Smith of the Bears is fantastic. Devin White, Levante David, the 2 Bucks guys, fantastic. I mean, there's a long list of linebackers here that feel like top 5 guys. It's one of those positions where it's like it's so tough to rank them because there's so many good ones right now. To the corners, a lot of good corners as well. I got Trevon Diggs at 1. And I'm usually more of a lock. I like the guy. I don't care if you get the interception. I want the guy that's locking down, being feared. They're throwing away from you, but I mean, Trevon Diggs is taking a playmaker label to another level. I mean, what he's able to do. I mean, when you get that many turnovers and 14% of targets he's taking the ball away, I mean, it's absolutely insane. I think the next most is around 8%. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I mean, that's the biggest playmaker in on defense right now in the NFL, and he's helping his team out, getting them good field position, getting them good points, but just so good at reading the quarterback and jumping routes. It's not like, sometimes guys get a lot of interceptions, because bad quarterback play or ball kind of gets tipped to the guy. Not every time, but a chunk of the time. And Trevon Diggs, like most of these, he's just jumping routes because he's able to read the quarterback and kind of be a little sneaky about it. So I've been super impressed with Trevon Diggs. Jalen Ramsey at 2, who's kind of known as the best corner in football. We know he's kind of a lockdown guy. He's getting his hands in the ball a little bit. He's a feared guy. I just love it. We talked about last year, too. I mean, he's always been good in run support, or not even just run support when the ball's underneath, just a good tackler and instinctive in that category. But I think last year he really took it up a notch, and why I was blown away. I thought he was the best defensive player in football, actually, because I was just blown away, everything he has at the cornerback position. You see it again this year, wanting to tackle and able to tackle. It's just so impressive. J.C. Jackson at 3, another playmaker there, but got a little bit of lockdown in him as well. But there's a lot of man coverage over there in New England, so that's a tough task for J.C. Jackson. Does it at a pretty damn high level. I think they're essentially choosing him over Gilmore is what happened. Why Gilmore moving on, they didn't want to pay because they're going to have to pay. They would have had to pay both. They didn't really want to pay that much money at the cornerback position because they're very good at developing these guys. So looks like they chose J.C. Jackson. There's a reason for that. A.J. Terrell, another second-year guy. You see second-year guys, Trevon Diggs, A.J. Terrell, that's extremely impressive because cornerbacks, usually that position, it takes a while to develop these guys. Ramsey was a unique, elite prospect, but these guys in their second year are just fantastic. Terrell's been a lockdown guy. Got his hands in the ball Thursday night against the Patriots, but been absolutely fantastic. And, I mean, the Falcons aren't getting a lot of pressure, so he's kind of covering for a long time out there. Very impressed with A.J. Terrell. And Tre'Davious White at 5, been a lockdown guy for the Bills. It's been a lockdown defense in general, so he's been very impressive there for sure. Xavier Howard, tough not to put him in the top 5. I think he is one in general. Kenny Moore, who plays in the slot and plays outside for the Colts, tackles very well as well. I like his game. Very, very close to making it. Talking about those second-year corners, Jalen Johnson, the Bears, another one. These 3 guys are pretty damn good already. So, pretty impressed with a lot of these corners here. And then we move on to the safeties. Kevin Byard at number 1. He's been insane this year. He's been Defensive Player of the Year worthy. There's quite a few guys you could put there, but Kevin Byard's been all over the place. And that's kind of where we were expecting him to go. And then he's always been good, but it kind of felt like he stopped growing for a second there, improving for a second there, and now here we go. It looks like the best free safety in football, best safety in football right now, playmaker. Even when he's not, taking the ball away, he's forcing incompletions as well. So, I mean, he's everywhere this year. And he's got a couple touchdowns, actually. Justin Simmons pretty much in the same boat. Free safety, plays a lot of single high free, which means he's kind of just by himself back there. In the back end coverage, so it's a pretty damn tough task. People don't think safety is the hardest position. You think about what's the hardest position. I think people say quarterback, tackle, corner. But I look at specifics. I look at man coverage at the cornerback position. I look at when you're playing. I mean, there's a lot of safeties. Kevin Byard will be there as well. There's a lot of safeties playing single high free, but when Simmons is back there that much by himself, it's one of the harder things to do in football. And he's been fantastic. He was giving up a little bit early in the year. He's playing much better now, but even when he was giving it up, it's like, he's got to cover like the whole field back there, So, but he's been making plays like crazy, especially these last, 4 weeks, maybe 3-4 weeks, been out of his mind. So, we see both Bills guys make the list. That duo looking pretty good. Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer been fantastic. That fantastic duo. Hyde just continues to make plays, come up and dominates in run support. I think Hyde's got doing a little more than Poyer all around to his game. Poyer can tackle. If a guy's in the back end, Poyer's going to wrap you around the ankles, going to make a play. But Hyde maybe a little more to his game, always flying to the ball. So he's at 3. Adrian Amos at 4. I really like what the Packers defense has done in general. They changed it up a little bit. A lot more split safety scheme. Before it was kind of like Amos was kind of always in the box. Even when with the Bears, Eddie Jackson was back end. Amos kind of in the box. Not always, but a lot of the time. You kind of get that strong safety feel, that almost could play like a linebacker if he really wanted to. And that's what the Packers kind of had doing with Savage kind of being in the back end. But this year, it's a lot different. It's a lot more, split safeties in the back end. They'll switch it up a little bit, a little more to Amos's game. It feels like he's able to do more because that's how the defense is run. So he's been very impressive at all levels. So extremely impressive this year. This could be one of his better years. And then we talked about the Bills. Bills getting 2 safeties in there, pretty damn impressive. That defense it's been the best in football though. But the Patriots right with them. They're coming for them in the AFC East. That's a battle that I can't wait to see the rest of the year because they still got to play them twice. But yeah, Derwin James, pretty damn close. It's kind of tough leaving him out. Budda Baker's always great. So a couple safeties. There's not a long list of great safety play this year. I think teams kind of attacking that, staying away from those corners and linebackers, getting downfield to the safeties. But yeah, these guys, there isn't a long, it's crazy because it's like the guys that are these guys right here, and then throw in Derwin James, Budda Baker, a couple other guys. Adrian Phillips playing really good for the Patriots. Throwing those guys, and the guys are playing, out of their minds, like crazy good for safeties. But then like the next group of guys, like the next chunk of safeties, they're like kind of lower than you expect safety play. So there's a pretty big gap of great play and a little bit of disappointing play there for safety. So it's been kind of weird this year. But again, these guys at the top, Kevin BYARD, Justin Simmons, these guys, they've been playing almost like defensive players of the year. So extremely impressive here. But I just wanted to go top 5 these major positions here for these rankings. We'll do them again at the end of the year, so we'll see who went up, who went down. Recently ranked every quarterback. That was based off one less week of play. But quarterbacks from 32 to 1, and we'll do that at the end of the year, and we'll see the change on where guys went. So always change. Guys always take steps down for some reason, and guys go up. So it's always interesting to see those types of things. But that's going to do it for my rankings here heading into Week 11. We're actually one game into Week 11, but a lot of season left. We got all kinds of content, anything you can think of. We got you here for the NFL in season and in the off season. Like, subscribe, turn notifications on. That would be much, much appreciated. Follow our Twitter. There's live updates there, talking during live games. You guys vote for players of the week. You guys vote for games, actually, every game. There's a link down below in the comments for that Twitter and recent videos down there, so that'll help you guys out. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.